Okay, I'll tell you right now, being Colorado natives, we are actually, well, at least in my opinion, pretty spoiled when it comes to the seasons. In fact, every time we travel, people are asking about it.
Yeah, guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the 4 seasons and what to expect when coming into Colorado. Let's go. Alright, welcome back to the channel, you guys. You're watching Living in Denver with your Colorado real estate family, Pete and Chelsea Sweeney, and we are constantly bringing you content in regards to Colorado and all the surrounding cities of Denver. Also, licensed real estate agent here. I love making these videos, but even more, helping you with the real estate purchases is a passion of mine.
If you are wondering about what it's like to live in Colorado and the weather, go ahead and give us a thumbs up now. Show us that you're here and watching. And if you're new to our channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We put out a couple videos a week all around the, Denver and the surrounding areas, and you are not going to want to miss out on what that new content looks like.
And of course, we're going to throw a number in right below. So like I said, if you want to go ahead and reach out, give us a call or text, you are going to get us and us only, no one else. So let's go ahead and check out the seasons in Denver, and we'll be right back.
All right, we are in Colorado, and you're probably wondering what it's like. Well, what a better day right now, because it's November and it's 71 out.
Yeah, 2 days away from December, and it's 71 degrees. It's supposed to be a high of 73 today. We actually took the kids to the park, and it was like, wish I would have wore shorts in almost December. So.
Yeah, so I think the first thing that we need to talk about is people always say that if you don't like Colorado's weather, stick around for a day or two because it's probably going to change.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
I mean, we can give you some guidelines as to what the weather kind of looks like year round. I think we're pretty spoiled because we do get our 4 beautiful seasons, but every day is a little different.
Here's something you really need to think about too. When you have 4 seasons, guess what? If you're purchasing a house in Colorado, that's going to make a huge difference. Say you're, like I said, someone that's sunny all the time, you don't have to worry about the snow. You don't have to worry about waking up in the morning and shoveling your driveway and all of those good things. So in the springtime, it's like, okay, now I got to turn my sprinklers on, where elsewhere you might leave them on year round. Or fall time, I got to blow my sprinklers out. There's all kinds of different things that comes with being a homeowner in regards to having 4 seasons.
Yeah, so in the spring, one thing that you always say is like the smell of spring.
Yeah.
Like, talk about that, because we have 2 different seasons. Peter's favorite season is springtime, and mine is fall.
Yep.
And so I'll have him talk to you specifically about spring, and then we'll kind of go through them. But tell them your favorites about spring.
I love how spring, like, everything is kind of budding. It's like new beginnings. You smell that morning dew, when it really kind of like towards the end of May and stuff. And it reminds me back of like high school, so like nostalgia right here. But
it's something about the springtime that's just cool, Like the smell of fresh rain or something.
It's just like there's something about that smell. It's just like a smell of just like a good tomorrow, I guess, if that makes
any
sense.
Fresh.
It's like, well, it's fresh, and it's like like I said, I already mentioned new beginnings, but it's just, there's something about it. It's just motivational for me. Like the end of spring, I think that's one of the most motivated in my life ever. And it's just because everything that's happening around me. So,
yeah, it's awesome too, right? I mean, we just get out of, we sometimes have snow all the way to May, okay? So our spring can, mainly push into, late May, almost early June sometimes. But he's so right. Like, we just got out of like winter where things are snowy and cold, and it like starts to slowly, everything starts to come alive, and it starts to get kind of magical.
Yeah.
And summer's coming near, so like
all the eggs are hatching, and all
the birds are out.
Yeah, the birds are shitting all over your back porch because they built a nest. And
oh yeah, that's true. But yeah, and then everyone around Colorado, when spring starts happening, you start seeing everybody come out. Everyone's coming out. They're getting their back patios ready. They're they're starting to do walks and everything like that. So just the world kind of comes alive to us, more so.
Everyone's spring cleaning, and so it's
spring
like,
cleaning,
it's like all that stuff that you kind of threw in your house over winter time. It's like, okay, I need to clean it out and you start getting rid of this, kind of clearing out that winter smell, I guess you could call it. You're finally opening up your windows,
Smells good. Big
and
for him.
it's almost like a dingy smell, which is kind of weird if
You're gonna
no
make
one else
people think we have
I was gonna
dingy
say,
in our house.
everyone's gonna be like, that's not
really
for
weird.
us. But I mean, there's something about being your house locked up the entire winter time, no windows are open and stuff like that. When you your furnace is running. Just be able to open everything up and just
I think that's
getting
the
some
thing.
fresh
he likes
air.
The airflow through the whole house, and he likes when it's just warm enough that it's not hot with the windows open, but it's also just like this awesome breeze through the house.
And honestly, if it was up to me, I'd leave the window open year round, but
it's freezing. Okay, so then after spring we start. So spring's about what, 70s? 70s?
Yeah, 70s, yeah. And then towards the end of spring, you start really breaking into the 80s a little bit more.
Yeah, so that's going to be from, I would say, June to play it safe, because everybody knows not to plant your flowers in Colorado until after the May dump is what, it's like the
Mother's
last...
Day. It's after Mother's Day.
Yeah, so it's like the big last snowstorm, which is typically around Mother's Day. We used to be able to always plant flowers on Mother's Day. In fact, at my grandma's house, everyone used to get together and plant the flowers on Mother's Day for her. But now we have a snow after Mother's Day or right around it, and so a lot of people are pushing that out. So anyways, I would say spring is probably from June to mid-July, and then mid-July on to August is going to be like our heat of summer. Talk a little bit about the weather.
July. That's when you're really experiencing those 90s. It hasn't been getting crazy. We had a few that kind of, I feel like, touched 100. Excuse me, I got some frog in my throat. But yeah, we had a few days, this year, 2021, that we did hit 100. But for the most part, July, you're experiencing a lot of the mid to high 90s a little bit. Breaks into August, and then towards the end of August, it really starts to cool down. And so, like I said, our seasons really are pretty on point, except for the fact that Colorado's weather is so unpredictable that sometimes you're at the end of November and you have a day like this. So,
okay, well, bringing it real quick to summer. Summer is hot and is dry.
It is dry.
We are dry here in Denver, and summer especially, and the sun is different here. It's not only dry, but I feel like a lot of people get a lot more sunburn here.
Well, it's because of our altitude. Like
Yeah.
I said, I mean, you have a lot less oxygen. You're also kind of closer to the sun. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Let's say that it affects our skin, our eyes, and so in the summertime, it could be really affected by that. So that's why you want to make sure you're wearing those sunglasses and putting that sunscreen on.
Yeah, and we also have a lot of allergy stuff here because we do have a lot of different plants.
She has a lot of allergy stuff here.
Yes, he's talking about skin and allergies, but really coming from being kind of the auburn redhead, mainly affects me. But
there's nothing like I feel like a little kid. You can't take away when you want the window open all the time, and then allergy season comes in and you can't open it. It's like a kid with a candy jar. You just you want to just do it so bad, but then your wife sneezes all night and yeah.
And then I wake up looking like Hitch. And also we have this beautiful, open space behind us that grows everything.
Yep.
So, definitely if you struggle with some allergies, pay attention to where you are, if it's super windy,
Yep.
these are things that your local real estate agent will be able to help you with as far as is it more windy there? Are you closer to the foothills and you avoid some of that wind? So I know that seems like a really silly thing, but it actually is a big deal for people with allergies.
Yeah.
To not be right next to a field that grows every pollen that you could possibly
Well, and
imagine.
then so something else to kind of think about too, like I said, when you're really looking into Colorado, it's right now we're kind of for the most part talking about Denver, the Denver metro area. The closer to the mountains you get, you're going to have more severe weather in regards to the wintertime, right? You're going to have more severe, snow coming in, even sometimes even rain. They get a lot more rain on the front range than we do a little bit more out in the plains in regards to Denver, downtown Denver and such. So it's something to really think about because maybe you don't want that dump of snow all the time as opposed to Denver where you're getting probably about 75% as much 75% as much as say the front range. I don't know why I'm twisting these words so bad.
So going to after summer, we go straight into fall, and we're looking at fall around probably October, really. October starts to cool back
sometimes
down.
at the end of September you kind of feel a little bit, and it's the same thing too, just like spring has a smell to it. So
Yeah, fall is my favorite, and fall is everything pumpkin, everything harvesty. All the farms are getting out there. They're doing sunflower. I don't even know what they're called. Sunflower grabbing. What do they do?
Harvesting?
Well, you go and you get to pick all the sunflowers as an activity with your family. And
I never did. I didn't even know about this.
Yes, I'll put it in there. Anderson Farm does it. Like they have the sunflower farm. They have the pumpkin patches. They have, and of course all of everything gets like pumpkin released. And you start to put on your long sleeves. And again, you're using like this. This is what you're supposed to be wearing in fall. I'm actually burning up right now. Being late November, this is what you would plan to wear, but not today. So this is what you should be wearing today. And so, fall is like really everything's kind of falling. It's a little more windy. You're back to that crisp air, but it's a different type of crisp, don't you think? It's like
it is.
More so like we know like winter's coming and all of that. So fall is definitely like you can get away with wearing a really nice light, long sleeve, and there's some colder nights. You're gonna wear a jacket at night, but still really tolerable.
Well, and then like your morning dew too, like you have in springtime, is replaced with like a morning what am I trying to say, morning freezes on the grass.
Oh yeah, the frost.
Morning frost. Yeah. We were just driving the other day, and our son was asking us about it, and he's like, "Well, you want to eat it or something?" Because he thought it was snow.
It's snow. I want to eat it. I'm like, "Oh no, honey, that's just like frost. It's just the frozen dew, from the morning."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. But again, like we have spring, awesome weather. We have summer, pretty great weather. Couple hot days, and then we still have fall, which is also still great weather. So people always ask
when is it that we get a lot of fog? There's one season, it's either spring or fall.
No, it's fall.
Is it fall?
Yes.
And there's a ton of fog.
Yes.
And like I said, like right around here, there's a Riverdale Road. You drive it, and it's like driving,
super
you're
foggy.
in the middle of a freaking horror film, because it's just the fog is like super thick. It doesn't matter what kind of lights you have or nothing. You just cannot see. Yeah.
You can hardly see in front of you, but it's mainly in the mornings. And then it goes away by like
no, they have it at nighttime too sometimes. That's when it gets the scariest.
Cool. Yeah, but they also like it's never really during the day. It usually blows off by the like daytime.
Yep.
Okay, so we travel a lot. We travel every year for our anniversary. It's something that Peter and I do together. And we also travel with our kids quite a bit, especially owning a house in Florida. And what I will tell you is, saying hi to our neighbors. What I will tell you is everywhere we go, people are wondering about Colorado winters. So we're going to talk to you about Colorado winters and the actual truth about Colorado winters. Winter starts what month?
So winter, it's going to be, I think the first day winter is this month, or next month, December. December.
Okay.
And so, I mean, here's the thing that everyone talks about. And like I said, I was in the military, and every time I went, they thought we lived in igloos, because they're like, oh man, it snows there all the time. There's always snow. No, it really isn't. We literally like have a few snowstorms every single year. Even a bad year, we might get it, I'd say, half a dozen times in a month. But outside of that, we don't get near the snow that kind of goes around in regards to Colorado. Actually, I think that's kind of getting debunked a little bit more as more people move into Colorado, and they realize that we're not just all kind of Eskimos out here.
Yeah, so in most cases, if we get a storm, it'll be 6 inches or less, and it'll be gone by the next day, say 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So people think like when we're getting these storms that they're like, oh my gosh, and there is a couple storms, like what last year. Let's talk about last year. We went to Florida. That was kind of nice that we actually avoided the one storm we had, and we came back and they actually got dumped on so much so that nobody knew how to do anything, because it's been a minute since we've had that heavy of a storm.
Yeah.
So like it's not like everybody knows here how to, they're like, oh, you deal with snow all the time. No, we don't really deal with snow all the time, and when we do, it's usually gone 2 or 3 days later if we get something. That was probably about a week, don't you think?
Yeah. It was
that was
probably
a really heavy snow. It lasted a week, and then it was nice again. Like you were back out in a long sleeve shirt.
Well, and then like I said, going back to kind of like living in Colorado, we're having all these seasons. Guess what? Something you don't really think about in regards to the vehicle that you drive, because if you're coming in here with a convertible Corvette thinking you're gonna get through your winter with it, sorry, not gonna happen. So that's something you really need to think about. All-wheel drive cars are always the best. Making sure you have great tires. Some people actually switch them out for studded tires in the wintertime. I personally, I don't. I'm not gonna do that, but
it makes sense because you aren't going back and forth that much. Like once you get into winter, it's fine to be using it for that short period of time, and then you just feel like you're more safe, and you have majority of the year where you don't need them, so why have them on there, but again, it's not something we
there's
do.
Some people that like take a long time to switch your tires back out, and then in the middle of spring and you hear the click 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 click. Yeah, it's bad. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've lived here our whole life in most cases. So here's the thing, Colorado knows Colorado. They prepare ahead of time for a storm that comes in. Like our buddy actually owns a plowing company, or I guess he does like the whole season thing. It's funny because a lot of the
landscapers
who are in the business, like they do all the seasons, right? They do the springtime laying sod, they do the summertime maintenance, they do
the aerating the lawns,
and then they do snow removal. And so, you know, our buddy does the snow removal, and they're already getting calls like maybe a day or so before saying, okay, we're expecting some snow. So Colorado is actually pretty good about getting out there and clearing the way. However, they are a little bit slower in certain areas to get to the neighborhoods.
That's true.
And so you might get...
Well, there's a rule in place too, where some neighborhoods they won't plow your neighborhood unless you get a certain amount of inches in snow. Outside of that, I mean, you're kind of helping your neighbor dig out when he gets stuck trying to four-wheel through the snow.
Yeah, so you might finally get to the road. It'd be fine to get back and forth from work, but getting into your neighborhood might be a different story. So definitely important when you're picking out your car out here. But again, it's only for one season.
Yeah.
Out of the 4 seasons we have. So do we have snow all the time? No, we do not. We do not have snow all the time. We get a couple really good snows a year. And honestly, like, I almost look forward to it anymore. I feel like it's happened less and less.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I wouldn't say it's happening less and less.
You sure?
Yeah. It's still,
I
think if there's
now.
one thing that I've noticed since I was a kid is we don't get as much rain as we did when we were kids. But outside of that, I mean, we still get some good snowstorms, and it just depends on the year. Some years we get dumped on. Some years it's like maybe a few good storms and that's it for the winter time.
Yeah, so, honestly, if we do get some big storms, most cases, I'm talking most cases here, not always, it's usually January, February.
Yep.
So December, you can still have Christmas here and it be sunny and nice out.
Yeah.
I always ask for a white winter, but it's like 50% of the time that we actually get snow on Christmas.
Yeah.
And so definitely a big, like, we want you to know it doesn't just snow here in Colorado. Like we were in, was it Costa Rica?
Yeah.
And they were like, what's it like? Tell us about the snow.
Asking about snow, yeah.
And we're like, that just blows my mind.
Yeah. You don't realize sometimes like how people have never seen snow ever, and you're trying to describe it to them, and you're like, how do I describe snow? I mean, it's kind of one of those things, but yeah.
Well, and Coloradans they make the most of our snow, right?
Mm-hmm.
We go sledding, we ski, we have the mountains, we have skiing, snowboarding, we have snowshoe races, tubing,
building snowmen.
I mean, it is so much fun.
Throwing snowballs.
Yeah.
Yellow snowballs.
Ew. Anyways, snow, because it's such a short period of time, there are so many things to do outside still in the snow. You don't have to bunker down. Some people don't like the snow, and that's fine, but most of the time when you're moving here, it's such a small amount of time that we actually have the really, really cold things that people are really taking advantage of that time.
Cool. All right. I think we pretty much went over the seasons for you guys and the weather, so if you guys have any other questions, like I said, do not bother reaching out. We're going to put our number in right below right here. And
if there's anything else that you want us to cover, certain topics, certain areas, we go all around all the different cities around Denver and also in Denver. We want you to feel comfortable when you're moving here to find the right place for you and have a local here to help you with your real estate needs.
All right, guys. Till next time, we love ya. Bye.
Bye. So I'll tell you right now, actually coming from... Whoops. Subscribe button. We're putting out 2 different videos a week, and we want you to be notified every single time that